The beep of the scanner broke the quiet atmosphere of the nearly empty McDonald's that afternoon. Emma Carter, swiftly preparing orders, looked up to see a young man standing at the register. Tall and well-dressed, he seemed flustered as his hands searched his pockets, unable to find his wallet. Barron Trump stood there, a confused look on his face, his eyes flickering with a hint of anxiety, as though he were being pushed into an uncomfortable situation. Emma hesitated for a moment but quickly made a decision. Without a word, she swiped her bank card through the payment terminal. "Don't worry," she whispered softly, offering a smile that melted the tension in his eyes. Barron gazed at her, lips slightly parted as if about to speak, but he simply nodded and whispered a quiet thank you. Emma returned to her work, the gesture so simple it seemed insignificant, yet the young man remained standing there, holding a tray of food with an indescribable feeling in his chest. Little did anyone know that small act would spark a series of events that no one could have predicted, eventually leading to the appearance of a very special figure. If you're curious about what happened next, keep following along. The story begins with Emma Carter, a college student working part-time at the McDonald's on Elmwood Avenue. She wasn't one to seek attention, preferring her actions to speak for themselves. Kind-hearted and intelligent, Emma was just going about her usual routine when, one quiet Wednesday afternoon a few weeks ago, Barron Trump walked in. She recognized him immediately. He seemed composed but slightly uneasy, like he didn't quite belong there. Emma, standing behind the counter assembling an order, found her gaze drifting to the young man at the register. Barron, tall and confident, placed his order but fumbled for cash. His hurried movements and the sudden shift in his face from calm to flustered made Emma notice that his wallet was missing. His growing anxiety was palpable. Without hesitation, Emma swiped her own bank card and paid for his meal quietly, without making a scene. She smiled warmly, placed the tray of food in his hands, and softly whispered, "Don't worry about it." Barron looked at her with gratitude and surprise. His lips parted, as if to say something, but he simply nodded, mouthing a silent "thank you." Emma didn't press him to explain or embarrass him. To her, it was just the right thing to do. She returned to her work, leaving Barron standing there with the tray and an inexplicable feeling in his heart. What Emma didn't know was that in the weeks that followed, she would experience a miracle beyond her wildest dreams. Barron Trump, the youngest son of Donald Trump, was the person she had helped that day. He had slipped away from his security detail for a brief moment of freedom, and that incident had made a lasting impression on him. He couldn't forget it. As the weeks passed, Emma continued her work at McDonald's, unaware of the ripple effect her simple act of kindness had caused. Meanwhile, in the grand halls of Mar-a-Lago, when Barron returned home, he sat in an armchair in the expansive library, flipping through a book but lost in thought. Across from him sat his father, President Donald Trump, who was focused on some papers. "Dad," Barron spoke, breaking the silence. Trump looked up, his sharp eyes softening as he met his son's gaze. "What's on your mind, son?" Barron put the book down, hesitating before speaking. "I can't stop thinking about the girl at McDonald's. She helped me without any reason at all." Trump raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What did she do?" Barron told the story, recounting the entire incident, from realizing he had no wallet to how Emma quietly paid for his meal. When he finished, his voice softened, his eyes reflective. "She's a remarkable person," Barron said. Donald Trump listened attentively, and though the world often saw him as larger than life, moments like this reminded him of the values he held dear. "What's her name?" Trump asked. "Emma," Barron replied. "She works at the McDonald's on Elmwood Avenue." In Trump's mind, ideas began to form. He was not the type to let good deeds go unnoticed, especially when it involved his family. "We're going to visit her," he declared. His team quickly began working to arrange a surprise visit, ensuring everything remained discreet. "Make it look like my visit, but don't notify the press. This is about her, not me." In the days that followed, Trump's team worked tirelessly, reaching out to Emma's university and arranging a surprise gift. Barron was involved in every detail, from selecting the paper for the letter to designing the envelope. The plan took shape, and both father and son knew that sometimes a small act of kindness could lead to significant change. They were determined to make it happen. 3 days later, a convoy of black SUVs pulled into the McDonald's parking lot. Amid the lunch rush, Emma was busy flipping burgers on the grill, the clatter of orders, the hum of the coffee machine, and the laughter of customers creating a lively atmosphere. She was so absorbed in her work that she didn't notice the shift in the room until the noise suddenly quieted. An eerie silence spread across the restaurant, and Emma looked up, frozen in place. Walking through the door was none other than Donald Trump, accompanied by his security detail. The murmurs of the customers died down as everyone tried to make sense of what was happening. Emma, still holding her spatula, stared in disbelief. Whispers spread among the patrons, mixed with curiosity and astonishment. "Is Emma Carter here?" Trump's voice rang out across the room, his presence commanding attention, yet his tone remained warm and inviting. Emma felt as though her feet were cemented to the floor. A colleague nudged her shoulder gently and whispered, "Emma, they're calling for you." Hesitantly, Emma stepped forward, flowers still dusting her apron. "It's me," she said, her voice calm despite the storm of emotions rising within her. Trump extended his hand, a genuine smile on his face. "Emma, I've heard so much about you from my son Barron. You did something truly incredible that day, and we're here to thank you." Barron stepped forward, a shy smile on his face. "I've never forgotten what you did for me," he said. "Thank you." Emma's cheeks flushed, and she stammered, "It was nothing, just helping a little." "It wasn't nothing," Trump said firmly. He turned to one of his aides, who handed Emma a slender envelope. Inside was a scholarship to cover the remainder of her college expenses, along with a heartfelt note from Barron. "We want to make sure you have every opportunity to achieve your dreams," Trump added. The room erupted in applause. Overwhelmed, Emma felt tears welling in her eyes. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. Trump smiled gently. "Just keep being the wonderful person you've always been. That's all you need to do." As the convoy pulled away from the parking lot, Emma stood by the door, clutching the envelope tightly in her hands. Customers continued to murmur, congratulating her. Inside, Emma knew that this wasn't just a reward, but a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness could create ripples beyond what she had ever imagined. She stood frozen, watching as the SUVs disappeared from view, her heart soaring as if she were dreaming. The congratulations and handshakes from co-workers and customers began to fade, but in her mind, the image of the Trump father and son, along with their sincere gratitude, echoed. Emma carefully tucked the envelope into her jacket pocket, gazing out the window at the sky. A strange feeling crept into her heart more than just happiness, but a sense that her life was about to change in ways she hadn't yet imagined. Meanwhile, inside one of the SUVs cruising through the streets, Barron turned to his father. "What do you think she'll do next?" Trump smiled, his eyes flashing with sharpness. "We've planted the seed, Barron. Now it's time to see how it grows. But this isn't over. I have a feeling that girl is going to do something big." Barron nodded, his curiosity evident. "What if we continue to help her? I don't want this to be just a fleeting moment." Trump placed a hand on his son's shoulder, his smile laden with knowing intent. "Don't worry. This is just the beginning." At McDonald's, as the crowd began to disperse, Emma sat down at a corner table. Her eyes were fixed on the envelope. Inside, along with the thank you note, was a brief message from Trump. "We are always watching you. Don't stop striving." She tightened her grip on the paper, her heart filled with determination. Something in those words sparked a new light within Hera, reminder that her journey was just beginning, and this was only the first step. But what she didn't know was that far away, larger events were slowly unfolding. These events would not only change her life, but also create a story that the world would soon be watching.